Good morning, St. Francis. Good morning, people of God. It is Tuesday, the 26th day of the month of November, 2024, Tuesday of the 34th and final week of our church year. It's a bit rainy outside, so that's why I'm inside over here doing the morning reflection. We are 29 days until outside of Christmas, 29 days until Christmas, and 3 days if you count today, until Thanksgiving Day. So lots of things that are going on. And so just a sneak preview, Christmas has already kind of unleashed itself here in the Friary Rectory. There's a little Santa back there too, I guess. And so hopefully, I think what we're going to do this year is finally open the house back up so people can see, so that it just doesn't become something that the four of us here in the house kind of enjoy as much, I guess, as we want to enjoy it or whatever it is. And so everybody can see it. And this is just the Santa business. So the nativities aren't even up yet. So they got to go some places, and you'll be able to see those at the creche event. I guess that'll happen the 13th, 14th and 15th that weekend in December. So a lot of things getting ready again for Christmas. Only putting it out now, I know it's not Thanksgiving yet, but because I'm busy. So I'm just getting that done like that. So anyway, in the midst of all this frivolity and everything else like that, we have basically two readings today. Our first reading in our gospel that talk about the end of the world. And so again, or the last judgments or reapings and harvestings and whatever it is. So, again, as we move towards, Thanksgiving and the harvest and things like that, it's kind of good to hear from Revelation about a harvest that God will conduct. Now, the harvest that God conducts is rather sensational and kind of violent and basically judgmental in many ways. And so this great harvest of the wheat of the righteous, an angel comes out with a sharp sickle to reap the harvest and bring the righteous, into paradise, whatever. And then there's the harvesting of the grapes, which are ripe, but then are thrown with another sickle, another angel, into the winepress of God's fury. Again, what was wrong with wine? So it's always the question Jesus uses. It's his blood, isn't it? But here, this whole idea about the unrighteous, the ungodly, whatever it is, being punished. Now, again, we can read this for what it is in a very literal way and say that, again, 144,000, like yesterday, are going to be saved. Everyone else, is basically up for grabs, or everyone else is going to basically have to suffer and things like that. But is this the way of God? Is this a God who loves extravagantly, abundantly? Is this a God who would, at the wedding feast in Cana, basically do something as ridiculous as make more wine for drunks, rather than making the couple never have arguments and live a long, happy life together with a lot of children and a roof over their heads? Again, our God acts in ways that are not ours, and we may interpret them in one way, but how God will act is up to God's own will and God's own decision. And if God says all people will be saved, then all people will be saved. The whole understanding, though, again, is that we need to take this seriously. And John's revelation is asking people to take this seriously, to not care, to not work towards the salvation of each other, to not worry about the nurturing and the succeeding of each other gets in the way of us being able to recognize the salvation that is in store for all of us. The thing will always be for those who are, finally saved, who might not have ever thought they would be, it becomes the greatest surprise to them. And what does that surprise then affect in their lives? Is it just pride and arrogance that they were saved, or is it perhaps regret or remorse that they could not do more to be able to help this world come more quickly, to what it is that God has in store for it? That's the point, again, of this revelation is, again, the more that we work against, the recognizing the wonder and beauty of God's harvesting, the longer it takes and the longer we suffer and the longer our pain is extenuated to give in, to the harvesting and the reaping of God's love for us, to give in to what it is that God has in store for us that brings us life and hope, is the call for all believers and even those who struggle with belief. All human beings are called to recognize this and to help each other recognize it. So again, God's salvation can be further and quickened, in our own time and in our own place. In Luke's gospel today, again, we have continuation of the end of the world, where, again, if somebody says that the Messiah is here, don't believe them. If someone says the Messiah is there, don't believe them. Again, God comes with recognizable signs, for those, again, who continue to struggle with belief, who are challenged by belief, who never give up, on trying to believe at least, even when there is difficulties and pains. And again, if there are wars and famines and all kinds of things like that and earthquakes, again, do not be dismayed by them, God tells us, because again, it all points in one way or another to, again, us moving forward. If all creation groans, waiting for God to finish what God has begun at the beginning of time, then these kinds of things may be signs, again, of that groaning. It's up to us to work, within it, to keep working, to keep working through love, to keep working through forgiveness, to keep working through understanding and respect and care for one another. That allows us to recognize the fact that in the midst of all of this, God is not absent, but present. And us recognizing God's presence in the midst of all the turmoil and the ups and downs we may experience in our lives, allow us to remain assured, that God is journeying with us, that God journeys with us on the journey of life, and never gives up journeying with us, and asks us not to give up on him, on God, or on one another. A blessed day, St. Francis and people of God. May the Lord give you his peace.